Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into the fascinating history of the Roman Empire. This wasn't just some group of toga-wearing philosophers debating philosophy while leisurely strolling through the Forum. This was a civilization that spanned centuries, leaving an indelible mark on law, language, architecture, and even our calendar. But even the mightiest empires can crumble. We're going to uncover some of the shocking facts about the fall of the Roman Empire, shattering a few myths along the way. Get ready for intrigue, betrayals, and maybe even a barbarian horde or two. Let's get started. We often imagine ancient Rome as a picture of wealth and opulence, but like a star burning too brightly, its economy had some serious flaws. One of the biggest culprits, their reliance on slave labor. Think about it. When a huge chunk of your workforce isn't getting paid, that's a whole lot of people not creating demand for goods and services. This lack of a dynamic middle class meant less innovation. Why invent new technologies when you have a readily available and essentially free labor force? But free is a funny word, isn't it? Because this dependence on slaves came with a hidden cost. As the Roman Empire expanded, it became harder and harder to acquire new slaves. And without a constant influx of new conquered people, the cost of maintaining this workforce started to strain the empire's coffers. It's a classic case of short-term gain for long-term pain. And speaking of pain, let's not forget about inflation. As the empire grew, so did its spending, especially on the military. This led to a devaluation of their currency, making everyday goods more expensive for everyday Romans. Imagine going to the market only to find your favorite loaf of bread costs twice as much as it did last week. So the Roman economy was a bit of a paradox. Great wealth concentrated at the top, but ultimately built on a system that couldn't sustain itself. And this economic instability played a key role in the empire's eventual downfall. As the saying goes, when one door closes, another opens, and in the case of the Roman Empire, as the West began to falter, the East rose to prominence. We're talking about Constantinople, the vibrant capital of the Eastern Roman Empire, later known as the Byzantine Empire. While Rome was dealing with economic woes and barbarian invasions, Constantinople was flourishing. Its strategic location on the Bosporus Strait made it a hub for trade between Europe and Asia. Think of it as the New York City of its time, a melting pot of cultures and a center of immense wealth and power. The Eastern Empire was also better at managing its resources and defending its borders. They had a more stable government and a more unified culture, which helped them weather the storms that were buffeting the West. Imagine two siblings, one, the older, struggling to keep up with the demands of a large family, while the younger thrives, learning from the elder's mistakes. That's Rome and Constantinople in a nutshell. The rise of the Eastern Empire is a crucial part of this story, because it highlights that the fall of Rome wasn't just about one empire collapsing, it was about the shifting tides of power and the dawn of a new era. Constantinople became the heir to Roman legacy, preserving classical knowledge and influencing art, architecture, and religion for centuries to come. It's a reminder that history is rarely about clean breaks, but rather about evolution and transformation. Chapter 3: Military Overstretch, when legions aren't enough. The Roman Empire, known for its mighty legions and military prowess, ultimately became a victim of its own success. How? Imagine a bodybuilder who keeps adding more and more muscle without strengthening their skeletal structure. Eventually, it becomes too much to bear. That's what happened to Rome. Centuries of conquest created a vast empire with borders stretching thousands of miles. From the forests of Germania to the deserts of North Africa, Roman legions were stationed far and wide. But this massive military presence came at a steep price. Maintaining these legions, outfitting them with weapons and armor, and transporting them across the empire drained the Roman treasury. Remember those economic troubles we talked about? The military overspending only made things worse, and here's the crucial point. A stretched-thin military is vulnerable. It's like a thin sheet of cloth trying to cover a large statue. Any tear or rip becomes a major problem, and for Rome, those tears came in the form of barbarian invasions. These weren't just random acts of violence. As Rome weakened, neighboring tribes saw an opportunity. The Goths, the Vandals, the Huns, they weren't just names in history books, they were forces to be reckoned with, pushing against the Roman borders, testing their defenses, and ultimately changing the course of history. Chapter 4. internal decay, corruption and the hunger for power. Now let's turn our attention inward, because the fall of the Roman Empire wasn't just about external pressures. Like a star collapsing under its own gravity, Rome was plagued by internal problems that ate away at its core. Imagine a government so riddled with corruption that it resembles a poorly built bridge, crumbling under its own weight. That was the state of Roman politics in its later years. Emperors came and went, some assassinated, some overthrown, leading to a lack of stability and consistent leadership. Ambition and greed became the driving forces, with senators more concerned with lining their own pockets than serving the people. It's like a cosmic game of billiards, with emperors and senators colliding in a chaotic dance of power grabs. This political instability had a ripple effect throughout society. If the leaders are corrupt, why should the people follow the rules? This lack of trust eroded the sense of unity that had once made Rome so strong. And when a society loses its sense of shared purpose, when its people are divided and disillusioned, it becomes vulnerable to collapse. The Roman Empire, once a beacon of civilization, was now teetering on the brink. Chapter 5: The Fall. When in Rome, they burn it down. The year is 410 AD. A date etched in history, forever linked with the decline of the Roman Empire. This is when the eternal city of Rome was sacked, not by a rival empire, but by a force that had once seemed like a distant threat: the Huns. Led by the fearsome Attila, the Huns were like a cosmic storm, sweeping across Europe, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. Their arrival in Roman territory was a tipping point, a sign that the once mighty empire was no longer invincible. Picture this: Roman citizens who had heard whispers of these barbarian invaders, now faced with the terrifying reality of their presence. The sack of Rome wasn't just about the loss of treasure and life, it was a devastating blow to the empire's prestige. The idea that Rome, the heart of their world, could be ravaged in this way sent shockwaves throughout the empire. It was as if the very foundations of their world were crumbling. While the Roman Empire didn't disappear overnight, the sack of Rome in 410 AD is a stark reminder that even the most powerful empires are not immune to collapse. It's a story about the dangers of hubris, the importance of adaptability, and the ever-changing tides of history. Outro lessons from the ruins. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more fascinating historical insights. The Roman Empire may be long gone, reduced to breathtaking ruins, but its story still speaks to us across the millennia. It's a tale about the rise and fall of civilizations, the forces that shape our world, and the importance of learning from the past. So the next time you see a Roman ruin or hear a story about emperors and gladiators, remember that history isn't just about dates and names. It's about understanding the forces that shape our world and using that knowledge to build a better future.